Hey, happy Friday, the very first Friday in the new year of 2022, January the 7th. What a great day it has been. Listen, I stepped outside for a few minutes, and my apologies to everybody that has to go out every day because it was so cold. I walked all the way to my mailbox, which is probably less than, I don't know, 50 feet from the house. And I was like, let me get on back in here. So listen, we are Friday. Oh, wow. Hold on. My microphone went out. Why? Okay. That technical, come on, thing work. All right. The microphone decided that it didn't want to hear me. So we are back on. And I wanted to say again, happy Friday, the 7th of January. And I was saying I stepped outside just to get the mail, and I didn't have on my hat and gloves and everything. So it is sure enough cold. So for those that have to be outside, please make sure that you stay warm and warm up and take whatever it is you need. Put that blanket in the car kit. I know I keep stuff in mine for years, but today we are doing our other segment called What's Your Passion, Your Career or Your Hobby? Because so many of us, we work, but then there's something that we can do, not on the side or whatever. But today I have a young man that I am so honored to have today. I have spoken with him a couple of times, but I was really just impressed by his disposition. And while I'm getting ready to introduce him, if you're on Facebook, please go ahead and share on your page, share to somebody else. And then if you're on YouTube, go to DJ STRATE. So join us. We will take your comments and all of your questions. So right now, I want to bring in Reverend Dr. Jerome Lee. He is a gentleman's. Not only is he's genuine in his talk, but he's genuine in his gestures and his actions. Like I said, I had the opportunity to be in his company at least a couple of times, and I observed several things by him, and I'm going to bring those up as we get into it. So Reverend Dr. Jerome Lee, how are you today? Hold on, you muted.
And like you, just trying to stay warm and stay from out the elements and just continue to manifest God's glory in my life and in my actions. So that's a beautiful day for me.
Absolutely. So when I created your flyer, now I know that you have a radio show on what's that, Black
Yeah,
Unity Radio
B production.
Productions, right?
Yes.
And your radio show is called Straight from the Streets,
Yes.
plural. Well, let me
Yes.
tell you why I didn't put that S on there. And then after I say what I'm saying, I want you to introduce yourself and just tell us about your upbringing and where you came from. The
Um.
last time that I was in your company, I saw you how when the gentlemen or the females came to the table, when we were down, handing out things at the shelter, you greeted everybody differently. But the one thing I noticed that you greeted them all in love. You would, hey brother, how's it going? Hey sister, how's it going? And then you went to your car and you took out a very nice bottle of expensive cologne and you said, hey brother, I'm going to give this to you. And the guy was so appreciative. He said, oh, this smells good. I'm putting it on. So that's why I didn't put that S on the word
Yeah.
street,
Yeah.
because you treat everybody as an individual and not as, oh, okay, here goes somebody else. Hey, bro, you want some food? Hey, sister, here's something. So I like the way you did that individually. So I said one person at a time. Tell us about the Reverend Dr. Jerome Lee.
Well, I have a unique story in the sense that I I have a high school diploma, but I couldn't read nor write. So what I call as the board of miseducation. But I'm thankful that God works in mysterious ways because I had to go to prison in order to get my formal education. So I went in illiterate. Then I became, I'm kind of going a little fast, so forgive me. I was in Lorton Youth Center 1 with a 31-year UFAC. And if anyone know what a UFAC is, that's when we had the Lorton facility. And that's where mostly the residents of the District of Columbia, if you were housed or did time, it was either Occoquan, we did the 60-day study, and then you were uh, scattered into wherever you were going to do your time. So mine was Youth Center 1, and from there, that's where I came to find God. I came to find what it is when you have education. And then what I found there was a
Mhm.
family of intellectual giants behind prison walls. So,
Okay.
and what do I
Oh,
mean by that? When we went to the classrooms, they were guys that were in Vietnam. They were guys who used to be pimps, thugs, and everything else, but on the educational roster, they were par excellence, top scholars, and they could give you the linguistics of the English language, and they can also give you the ebonics in the hood and be able to articulate our pain, our promise, and also what it is that you were destined for as a young black man if you stayed on the right path.
okay, so let's back up for a second because you weren't born there. So tell us about your upbringing
Oh,
and how
from the
you.
DC area, from the DMV. I love the DMV. It's a place. I always claim my country roots, and for all those out there, Culpeper, Virginia, is my
Okay.
root, and that was the place that gave me my humble beginnings to this area. And then from there, we moved to the DC area. I was fortunate enough to stay in Northeast, Northwest, and not Southwest, but Southeast. So all of those places in the district. And again, I grew up off of go-go. So when you hear that, yeah, I love all of that stuff. Trouble Funk, EU, Lil Benny. So all of those great things that made Washington, D.C. what it is, it also helped cultivate me as a young man to try to find what it was that life was offering. And most of us back during that time, it was the streets, whether it was drugs or whatever.
Mhm.
And I'm so thankful that God had his divine plan for me. And as I think back over it, I will never forget this incident that really I knew that God was in my life. So we were robbing a standard drugstore on Rhode Island Avenue. And for those who don't even know what standard drugstores is, those were the before the people drugstore, after the people drugstore. Those are
Okay.
like the CVS and your Walgreens in the day. Um, and right by there was the police precinct. So I went in
Okay.
there to go rob, and I was with the some older gentlemen. And during that time, I had a Uzi, so that was way before Uzis were popular because this was in '86. So that's like
Illegal.
holding a gun. That's how the sentence structure, as my lawyer used the language. And
Okay.
out there, they were holding guns. Halt! Don't move. And to this day, when I look at all those ID and criminal stuff. I've never seen the criminal get away when they put the handcuffs on, but somehow when they went to go put the handcuffs on, I. But these words saved my life, and that's how I knew that God was part of the divine plan. So even in your insanity, God will still bless you. I said, I
Yes. Yes.
have no gun. You can't shoot me. I don't know where that came from because that wasn't in the plan. My plan was to get in, get out, and those words saved my life because most gentlemen that you see now with the Black Lives Movement, they shoot men in the back every day as a black man.
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah.
think of where I'm at now, and then I think back then, when I got caught, the person said, "Bring him over there." One of the detectives, and he said, if that was me, I would have shot you. And my thing was that you didn't hear me telling people I ain't had no gun either. So I'm so thankful,
Yeah.
family, for everything that's have been bestowed upon me. Even in my wildest imagination, I could not phantom where I'm at now, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually as a man of God and a man of the community, but most of all, a man who loves to love on the community and
Absolutely.
people, period.
And that's why I said it. But listen, you were talking about your upbringing, and you made me think of a story. So I'm a McKinley Techite, born in DC, born in Northeast. I remember I walked from McKinley to the bus stop, standing in Edgewood Terrace, the
Yes.
Avondale. I think it's the G6. I was standing right in front of there, and I
Mm.
had my trombone right beside me. And this guy pulled up to me, and he said, "Hey, you play horn?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "You want to come play for me?" I said, "No." I said, "Anyway, what's your name?" He said, "My name was Funk." So right there, I was like, first of all, I ain't playing for nobody named Funk. And then he started talking about the go-go stuff. And I had already said in my mind, no matter what instrument that I play, I'm always and only going to play for the house of God. I'm only going to play the Christian music. Now, as I got older and went to tech, all those guys did go-go, but I didn't know what no go-go music was. But I
Mhm.
sometimes I think, man, if I had just got with that guy Funk, then I would have been probably one of the first females with Red Essence and all those other people and whoever else like that. But I like your story because in the midst of you going to prison because it was self-inflicted, as you were giving me a story, were you the only one going to hold up, or was it other people?
It was other people, but I was the one who went in the store with the gun while they waited out. So it's sort of like sitting the flunky in there, sitting the young man in there. With old heads, you know what I mean? Send the young guy. He'll do it. He's Mikey. He likes it. And I didn't know. Man, take that gun. Why not the 38? No, take that gun.
So were you involved in a gang or something?
Crazy.
Reverend Lee, were you involved in a gang or some kind of initiation
No,
or
it,
something?
there were no gangs. From that, um, it's funny when I think back over my life, sister, because at 19, I had a Peugeot, a Saab, Elite motorcycle, a 280Z, and I stayed on King Street in Alexandria, Virginia at
Okay.
12th grade. So there was promise there the whole time. It was just how to get to the promise of
Okay.
if I could do that and think that big, think what I could have
Okay.
did in America.
Okay. So let me ask you this. When you found that you were going to prison, what were your first thoughts?
Um, how are you gonna do 63 years? That's a lot of times. And for those who just tuned in, my show is Straight from the Street, and what I talk about is the redemption of us who go to prison when it
Mm-hmm.
being the best that you can be. Sometimes you can take lemon and make a lemonade, and as my brother said, um, sometimes a setup is a setup for a comeback, and we
Mm-hmm.
know how these things in life will work for you. Again, for me, um, what was the question? So I'm gonna make sure I stay on point. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. The question was, how did you feel when they
Oh,
told you that you were going to jail?
crazy because I had just had my son was on the way, and I had a beautiful, wonderful, lovely, curvaceous ebony cinnamon rose of a girlfriend that was
Okay.
it with promise. So you got to leave all that behind, and now you're
Mm-hmm.
facing something that One thing what I've learned, what I love about uh, sin or drug selling or hustling.
Mm-hmm.
Hustling takes you further than where you want to go and costs more than what you're willing to pay. And
Okay. Okay.
all of that time. But the brilliancy of the old Jerome was that I went to go get a paid lawyer, and he was so impressed with me. He said, "If you come," and his name was Kenneth Bailey. He was in Georgetown, and he was moving to LaFont Plaza. And he said, "If you come and work, get some friends and move these boxes, that I'll, discount off your bill." And most individuals don't go looking for lawyers at 19.
Mm-hmm.
They go looking for weed, sexual promiscuity, a whole bunch of stuff to numb the pain. But
Mm-hmm.
in the end, I just felt crazy. How do you start it? Where do you begin?
Okay, okay. And the reason I asked you that question is because when you were doing your introduction, you talked about all the things that you learned and all the knowledge and everything that you gained while in prison. Okay. So when you got to prison, and I know this is probably an unusual question, did you have somebody that took you under their wings and said, look, buddy, this is how you need to survive and take advantage of everything that they have? So talk about that experience. Not that we're telling people to go to prison, but you made good out of a bad situation. Look where you are now.
Yes. First, it started in the DC jail. There was a guy there who was being charged with murder, but he had the peace of God on him like you didn't know. You know what I mean? What he did was display peace. And all these guys that were going to the Bible studies or to the studies, they said, man, young blood, man, what's up with you? I said, good. He said, man, make sure you come to Bible study. So it's just about a camaraderie. But my
Mhm.
experiences with church was this only in prison. I went a few times in the community, so I didn't know
Okay.
respect, but I seen something in him that had peace, joy, and in the midst of all this chaos, that was a lot for me. So then as I got to go to Lord, and these same guys, they went to Occoquan with me. So, youngin, if you need anything, because I was on a 60-day study. So the 60-day study
Okay.
was for those to determine in the observation whether you were going to get adult time or were you going to get the UFAC. And the UFAC was that you can take in be under the Youth Rehabilitation Act, and the Youth Rehabilitation Act mean that you don't have to do all your time. So I ended up with 31 years, but I only did 3 based off of I already had a high school diploma. You get a trade, then I was going to college. So I in the second one in Youth Center 1 history to graduate with an associate's degree. I came up with
Okay.
53 credits. I became the class president. I was the boxing champion in 1980
Wow.
in the 125 division. So I just had a great experience there.
But see, all of that leads up to why I go back and say the word street. Because again, I watch you how you interact with different people, and you know how to talk the language. You know how to talk, hey bruh, hey sis, oh, how's it going today, sir, or whatever. And that makes a difference. And I guess because of your experience, because I'm sure you were probably one of the youngest or younger in that environment where you were. So you didn't go in there feeling like you had to fight. You go in there like pretty much open, say, let me learn, or let me be on the defense and just watch out. Because you had to gain some kind of wisdom in there.
Yeah, but let me say this too. I was in the Washington Post, and they asked me about sexual assaults in prisons, and what people don't know that Lorton was a pervasive place of great assaults on men, stabbings, killings. I was my cellmate named Tyrone Cameron was killed in the cell next door to me when we were in segregation. Where you were in the hole, you locked down for 23 hours.
Mhm.
And I would never. I got stories that I think I really this may help me to just stay up a little bit longer to get this book out. But the point is, they said, and in my spiritual experience, because I just got saved, so they can, Jim Baker was hot back then. So, Lord,
Okay.
preach. So I preached. I talked about heaven and hell, and Tyrone, which is my cellmate, got killed the next day.
And that
So,
was your first witness, your experience to witness to him, which is great. So after that happened, and then the guys began to recognize that, hey, this man came to the church, and now it seemed like he kind of getting deeper in the church. And I'm saying church, but we know it was Christ and salvation. Did you find people getting willing to draw near you because they saw a change in you and they wanted to talk to you about that change?
um, doing then, I had just got a job as the chaplain assistant. So I think uh, Reverend George Taylor, who really inspired me to be the best that I could be, he gave me wisdom. Knowledge comes from books, wisdom comes from God. And he was a
That's
man
right.
sowed into my life in tremendous ways. He went with me when I was going to the parole board. He was saying, could you give him a 60-day set off so he can get his degree? They said no, because that's like going 10 steps forward and 20. So again, going back to the when you are incarcerated back then, most people when you're in the DC area, so if you were northeast people with northeast, so everybody kind of stayed in their own tribe or their own little
Okay.
area,
Okay.
that or their area. So back
Okay.
spirituality was real. You couldn't be a fake and phony, you know what I mean? Because
That's right.
together, some of the greatest preachers are what I would call unsung heroes, because when they got locked up off of that dope, they could preach the hole in a building, and
Oh,
they were real, and you could feel the realness, the love, and the atrocities. But for every good thing, there are bad things. So I call prison was like a college to those who wanted to learn different things or become better. And for some, it's as Jesus said, a of iniquity. You know what I mean? And
mm-hmm.
what you find in there is some of the brightest, gifted, blessed, and talented individuals, but sometimes it's like a diamond, it's in the rough. It needed a George Taylor, it needed a Dr. McLean, it needed someone to help you navigate, because being a male is by birth, but being a man is by choice.
Mm-hmm. But I agree 100% with what you're saying, because for several years, one of the groups that I was associated with, a church group, one of the blind guys, that was his ministry, was prison ministry, and we had to drive him down to Jessup, and we went to the boys center that was in Laurel, and I'm telling you, some of those guys, they were so involved, and they were very astute in the Word of God, because they had so much time to study. I mean, some of them were seamstress, they sang. So yeah, I agree with you. And if you quoted incorrect scripture or incorrect meaning, they were the first to say, that's not right, brother. Because let me tell you, you can't go into the prison ministry and start talking stuff and making up stuff. Because
That's
like you said, people are going to study and they know. And I think that's great. So let's move on up just a little bit, because when you came out, and I don't know, I can't remember how long you said you did, but when you came out, how was it getting back into society and then even getting employment? Because you already had a family. So how was that?
well, again, what you find in most prevalent, and as being a correctional officer too, that most of the time you can clean a fish, but you got to take the fish into a new stream. You know what I mean? You can
Okay.
work for Jerome, but we're putting you right back in Potomac Gardens or wherever. So I had to make a choice. My choice was either to go back with my family or live with my friend. I live with my best friend. And now I thank God, because the relationships of the church, it's been pivotal each way, because when I came home, I hooked up with the Metropolitan AME Zion Church on North Capitol, and Reverend Louis Anthony and them. They paid my rent for 6 months. So it's just been the power of God and the people of God that have just sold in. He didn't have to do that. I traveled with him around the country to be able to see what it is for someone to master the epistemology of the English language. And he was able to say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Say it low, you black and you poor, but you are a child of God. And don't let nobody marginalize, underestimate, nor devalue your voice. You are special. You are unique.
Absolutely.
And I come
Absolutely.
lineage of this hopers of men being better, to do better, be better, and love better. So what can you do?
Absolutely. So now bring us up to the 21st century. What are you doing now, as far as the ministry, your ministry is concerned, and then meeting with people and talking. I know it's COVID, but that never stopped you from talking, because like I said, I just see the warmth, and I know personally, just from our exchange, how you mean what you say. You're very compassionate about people.
Well, I think that for me at this present moment, ministry always goes on. The church is a building that holds congregants, but ministry takes place in the hearts and minds of people
Yeah.
every, like you and me. There's a promise with your name on it, but someone is waiting for you to say, I love you. There's someone waiting for a hug from you. There's someone that's waiting, and you're the only one that can touch them. I can't. But if I can inspire you or motivate you
Hmm.
to, or be the best sister, the best auntie, the best uncle, brother, niece, nephew, then I've done my job. And the Bible tells us that it says that some reap, some sow, but God gives the increase. And
That's
all
right. Some plant and watereth, right?
love, peace, joy, and where I fall short at, God, please forgive me that if I've offended my brother or sister, that was not my intent, and if it was, forgive me because I don't want to be right. I want us to be right because when we are right, then we see the world together. At the table of
Hmm.
brotherhood and sisterhood, we can all eat from honesty, loyalty, truth, trust, integrity, love. Those things that make a house feel beautiful, look beautiful, because our best dress is not in our style and fashion, but our conduct. How do I love on you? How do I care for you? How do I make you feel the best of who you are as a black woman, an Asian woman, whoever
That's
you are?
right. That's right.
And it's
That's
not
right.
yes, 9, number 10, 20, 30, or what geographical location that you aspire to live in or want to live in. Because in the end of the day, I've never seen anybody in the Bible said I've OD'd off of too much love. It's always love that we're suffering from as human beings. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. And again, this is DJ Straight coming from Praise from the Closet with the one and only Reverend Dr. Jerome Lee, the host of the Hour of Power radio show called Straight from the Streets with VLB Productions. And Reverend Lee, tell me this: are you mentoring like youth? Do you do youth guys or females, like youth groups, or a
Um,
select age group of people that mentor or help?
I mentor anyone because what I found out, Queen, is that in life we all need a place of respite. We all need a place that someone, what Reverend Taylor taught me this in Lord. And he said if you if you go to a gangster, you get a gangster answer. If you go to a pimp, you get a pimp answer. He said you got to make sure that when you go to get advice, you get it from somebody that you can trust and believe that whatever that they give you, that you can walk away knowing that you shared your heart, but is it going to cost me in the end? So it's
Right.
always wonderful. So I'm always open for mentoring. I'm always uh, looking for cases of individual that's willing to change. I mean, I'm with it. If you just come home and you need someone to talk to straight from the street, you can give me a call at 202 352 2955. And that's my cell because I'm a person available to be able to help those that are in need. And someone did it for me and I owe it. The only way I should look down on you or anybody else is when I'm lifting you up.
Right. Now give me that number again.
It's 202
Hmm.
352 2955. And if you And for VL Productions, if you want to call me at that number, it's 202 65 615 2139. And family, Straight from the Street is one of the hottest shows of the Hour of Power. And yesterday, as I was talking about relationships, and I think that that's something that's so beautiful to me because it's nothing like a love, seeing someone grow into love but not being loved on. And what we have to do is know that you don't need nobody to love you. You can love you and still be great. Because if they had love in a can, would you buy it? Oh, yes, I'd be in the store. Excuse me, sir. Can I get 2 cases of love? Case of joy. Did you got promise back there in the back? Yes, I need that one too. but it's not. That's something that has to be cultivated through us. And what I always say is a difference between going through something and growing through. When you go through, you don't learn the lesson, but when you grow through, you learn
Yeah.
because example is a beautiful teacher. It's a beautiful teacher, but
Yeah. Absolutely.
one too. But experience costs way more. Example is cheaper because someone else paid the price.
That's
So
right. That's right.
um my experiences that you can live out the examples. An example is always cheaper.
So that was a good one. I like that one about going and growing. So
Mhm.
let me ask you this then. If you had unlimited funds and you could build a place, a building, a city, or something for people that are either transitional or, to say, hey, don't go that way, go this way. What would that place be like? What would it feel like? Tell me about the outside structure and then some of the things on the inside.
Well, the name of it would be Restoration Temple. That's used to be the church name that I had. And restoration is something that we strive to receive every day when we wake up. When God gives us the Ruah, the Hagios, the life, the Pneumos, the breath. And when we get that, it's to rejuvenate us. And sometimes we forget as men and women the promises that were given to us. If it's in your name when they named you, or was it in the lineage of who you are as a person? And sometimes we forget who we are and what
Hmm.
we are. The word Nike meaning Nikos, meaning victory. But if you're paying $400 for the shoe, Nike got the victory, not you. And
Absolutely.
the Greek
And they
word,
will wear out.
yeah, that's true. And the other thing is the word cardia is heart. But when it says give me a clean heart, it's not talking about the heart that pumps blood because blood cleans our heart. It's talking about your thoughts, will, and emotions. So that's where God is trying to tap in with us, with me, with you. So when you're in restoration, He wants to change your thoughts, your willing, and your emotions. Why? Because when your heart is clean, your thoughts are clean, and your mind is pure, you can see the best in who you are and what she are because you can't be what you can't see. You can't do what you don't know. But if God's love is inside of you, then you give it away. You give it away.
Absolutely. Because now you're describing the attributes of God. And
Yeah.
he is love. He is care. He is concern. He is rejuvenation, about rejuvenating people and having people transform. And that was one of the reasons, again, why I said that I wanted to speak with you because I saw how you, again, I keep saying the same thing. I saw how you interacted with the people down on Second and D because as the people come, you took the time. You did not say, "Hey, get this, keep moving on, keep pushing on." You just gently and you move yourself around, and everybody can't do street ministry. Everybody can't handle somebody that's intoxicated, or they may not have had a bath or a shower in some days, or just hungry, or you might, hey brother, let me hug you, and they pick in my pocket. You ready to fight. So everybody can't do that. Everybody can't do that. And so I applaud you for what you're doing. So finish talking about the building. And you told me the name of it. You talk about the outside. What's in the inside?
And then also too, let me, I would be remiss without thanking the individuals who have helped me be the man that I am. I thank my ex-wife, Reverend Sheila uh, Lee McNeil. They are great women helping men be the best that they can
That's right.
be. She saw
That's
something
right.
in me and invested time, talent, gifts to show me what it is to be the best that you can be, a Barbara or a person like you. And what I see is that behind every great man or great woman, there are people behind that's saying, "You go, boy, you go, girl,
That's
do
right.
your thing."
Absolutely.
And if you God's man or God's woman, God don't sponsor no flunky.
That
If and then He
for
got
real.
you. He got you. He got me. And how the kids said, he said, He got you and me in His hands. He got the whole wide world in His hands. And the building would be equipped with honesty, loyalty, truth, trust, love. But it would be a building where we can come and find God's presence, God's peace,
Beautiful.
but in people. People willing to share their testimony, not give me a piece of your mind. Where people can come and say, I'm a drug addict and I'm drunk. And I can say, you know what? I've been there too. And love the hurt away. Not fuss it away, not cuss it away, love it away.
Hmm.
Because God so loved the world that he gave. And that's what restoration does. It gives us a second, third, fourth, fifth chance to rejuvenate where we messed up at. And in the black tradition of the church, we love the songs like "We Fall Down, but We Get Up." Yeah, we made a mess. Or like the my brother from the Canton Spiritual say, "Can I clean up what I messed up by what? Starting my
Starting
life."
it all over again.
So these are songs and these are anthems that uh, help us rebuild our spiritual modalities. It helps us build our spiritual character, but most of all, it helps us connect to the human pain and suffering in everybody's life. I'm no better than somebody in Mitch Snyder shelter because I'm one paycheck from being where they at. You
Hmm.
can't be so prissy that you think you better than them. So the thing that I dislike is that people have these very expensive cars, but they don't want to give the kids in the neighborhood the rides. They need to see what it looks like on Connecticut Avenue instead of Langston Lane. They need to know what it is instead of looking in Montana when they can look at all of what the city of is.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
It's
I'm
our
sorry.
vision, our eyesight instead of opening up your insight. And that's what God is calling in that place called Restoration Temple, where your insight, and you may be blind on the inside, but your spiritual outlook, your spiritual radar, your spiritual love for God can say, I can pick myself up and start all over again. And
All
that's
right, so let me okay, so let me ask you this. If you could rewind the clock back and go back to Standard Drugstore on Rhode Island Avenue with that same mindset, and this time you would hear voices say, I'm going in here because I'm going to rob this store, or you would go to the door and you would go, nah, I'm not going to rob it, bros, and take the consequences of the guys. Now, because you're talking about all this experience you had, what would you do if you could take the clock back?
Ooh, if I could take the clock back, would I change it? Yes. In some fashion, I would say no, because then I wouldn't know who God is. So you got to thank
Okay.
God. Remember what I said between going through and growing through. In going
Yep.
through, there's a verse in the Bible that says God reap where he doesn't sow. Before I got locked up, my cousin say, "Oh yeah," talking about how are you preparing for jail? My cousin be like, "Yeah, you're gonna be coming out talking about that Jesus stuff," and I can just remember like I'm talking to you now. I said, "Girl, don't you be talking about that Jesus stuff? I'm punching in your face. I ain't with all that Jesus stuff." But the same thing that you rail against are the same things that you become, and it's so beautiful to see God's evolution of ideas in a cousin who didn't know God but knew that there's something in you, guy, and maybe God can use you.
Hmm.
God.
Well, it's a song, since you like songs so much, that the gospel music workshop made in Indiana at the Indianapolis Convention said, if you can use anything, Lord, you can use me. And then Ron Canoli made it. So, and that's what it takes. It takes people that are just the mindset of people to be open enough to say, here I am. So I'm putting your number across the screen. All right, now I got a comment for you. Matter of fact, let me just show it right quick. Because you got a fan out there. They look like they give you a hug. You know that person?
Uh, no, but if he at the table of brotherhood, I'm with him, man. Thank you, good brother, for uh whatever your spiritual expressions towards me, and may the grace of God and the peace of God continue to follow you and your family in 2023, 22. And I just hope that you get everything that God has for you And we just have to surrender.
So, where you were quoting was Joshua 24:13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we know with the story of Joshua, he had to
Yeah.
go out and spy out the land and make sure it was okay for them to cross over. And so I guess you can consider yourself one of those people like Joshua. You know, stay in a drugstore made you go in and look and say, oh, we can take these things. Oh, we can take them. Or, you know, or they think they biggest grades, we're not going to do it. But your experience of being incarcerated gave you the education. It gave you the understanding about God, and it also allowed you, afforded you to get salvation and to maintain it and to keep it. And you're not ashamed to tell your story. You're not ashamed about the witness of where you come from. And you know, you were sharp when I saw you, so obviously you either know how to sew or you
Yeah.
making some money where you can buy some good clothes because you were sharp.
Yes, yeah. I just want to say, I always marvel at the kindness of people because the other sisters didn't have to be kind to me. And I always try to be the greatest sermons are never preached, they're the ones that live. The greatest Bible verses are never preached, they're lived. And the closest that we get to Jesus, the more I can see the God in you. As they said, Jesus so easy to love. And I'm always reminded of that. Even when I give money to brothers and sisters that are on the corner, there's no demand to it. Do whatever you will with it because you know why? They're in a place where if I have the answer to the prayer, we ain't got to pray the prayer. Here's the answer to it right here. And some
Absolutely.
are answers to people's prayer. And it's not always with money. It could be your time. It could be
That's
your
right.
it could be you giving me a ride to the store. It could be you helping to cultivate me as a man or a woman or a boy or girl to be the best that I can be. And I'm excited about what uh, my show is producing because I want to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, love to the loveless, but most of all, a voice to say that you are a child of God. Nobody dead or alive could do what you do because when you came to this earth, there were other sperm cells trying to get that place. Unless you got twins, you made it. So you are special, unique. And I just want to say, even to you and what you do, it's a gift, it's a privilege, not an honor
Absolutely.
to be able to sit before you and to share my story. And I thank God
Absolutely.
for the vehicles of what He used. Ordinary people to do extraordinary things through
Absolutely.
deeds, through love, through character.
So listen, as we get ready to close out, can you tell us where we can hear you again on your show called Straight from the Streets? Tell
Yeah,
us when you come on and how we can get to hear you.
it's Friday at 11 o'clock. And you can go, and there are plenty of shows that you can already tap into from the VL Productions. And again, you can go on that, and it's www.blackonblackunity.com. And again, www.blackonblackunity.com. And it's straight from the street, your hour power. And I be your humble host, none other than your brother, trying to share what God has given me. And that's Jeremiah 29:11, a hope in a future. And all you got to do is hold on. I promise that God's vision, if you hold on to it, you'll catch fire. And you can be like me and say, there goes a great street sweeper who done his job well, that the whole host of heaven will stand and say, there goes that great brother or sister who does street sweeping, that we got to stand up and say, great job.
Absolutely. And that's where you want to hear the Lord say, well done. Well, Reverend Dr. Jerome Lee, and I said your whole name because you earned
Yeah.
all of those titles. You earned those degrees with education, and you learned it through life. And
Mm-hmm.
so I certainly thank you for coming on and joining us today from Praise from the Closet, DJ Straight with WGMLB. And as I always tell people, you don't have to just wait till we come on the video. You can always go on our website, WGMLB.com, hit listen live, and you will hear some of the greatest Christian music. James Cleveland is on right now. I don't feel no ways tired. Before that, it was Like a Tree Planted by the Water. You may hear, oh man, what's Jason Crabb? Sometimes I Cry. You'll hear a whole genre of all inspirational music. And just be safe, everybody. And we're going to sign off. But we have some other great shows coming up. Don't forget, on Mondays at 6 o'clock, we have 1 hour allowed. And I invite anybody that wants to come and read the Word of God. You pick your own scripture and you just come on and you read for 1 hour on Mondays. If you can't do Mondays, just email us. The information is going across the web, across there at Gospel Music Lovers Buffet, or you can give us a phone call and we will set you up, because what our purpose is to share the good news, whether it comes to comedy, it comes to preaching, it comes to teaching, it comes to families. We're open to all ethnic groups, all age groups. The only thing I tell you is when you come on WGMLB, don't come on talking foolishness. But if you got some other stuff, hey, we are open. So we thank you for tuning in on today. Everybody, please stay safe and double mask up and stay warm. And Reverend Lee, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your stories and even making me go back and reminisce about funk and some other stuff. Because I'm a McKinley Techite. I'm a trainer. So thank you all for listening. Again, like our page on YouTube, DJ Straight, and then you can always share it. Everything that we do is out there on our channel. Subscribe, and you may see yourself on there one day. Until the next time, this is DJ Straight signing off with Reverend Lee from Praise from the Closet. Thank you all for tuning in on today with the segment, What's Your Passion? Your career or your hobby?